values.
Tradition, young lady. One must always uphold tradition.
Wow. Okay.
You see, I didn't actually intend to stop here, but...
No, not really. You mean to say you're not a student?
You have arrived a little late in the term, miss. Enrollment for this year has already...
But as rectors of this university, and therefore representatives of its highest authority, we could...
You don't understand. I'm a lawyer from New York. Or rather, Valladolid, more precisely. My client wants to buy out an old mechanical toy factory, but its heir isn't actually dead and is living somewhere in Syberia. I've got to get to him to sign the sales contract. You see?
Not really. This is a most peculiar tale.
A kerfuffle of the highest order.
We have an excellent law school, if you should ever change your mind.
Change my mind from what? Being a lawyer to go back to law school? That doesn't make sense. Okay, so help.
Can you possibly help?
Miss, your insistence is almost verging on indecency.
Oh,
We cannot
jeez.
constantly be at your disposal. We have many other requests to attend to.
If you don't mind, could you not disturb us all the time? Thank you.
Well, I haven't finished clicking all the things in my little booklet, so I can't quit disturbing you.
Does the name Hans Vorarlberg mean anything to you by
It does
chance?
indeed.
Ah, one of the brightest, most idealistic intellects to have graced our university. Hans Vorarlberg. I remember speaking to him once. I was still a student at the time. He just stared at me, lost in thought for a while. He scarcely ever said a word. But how can one forget him?
Idealistic? I'll grant you that. But bright? Oh, don't go too far. He was completely incapable of passing any exams. All he ever did was to sit in on lessons, and not many of them either. Paleontology, mainly. He had an unhealthy passion for mammoths, which matched the state of his intellect perfectly. That is to say, prehistoric.
Prehistoric? How dare you? A little far-fetched, maybe. But he did have flashes of intellectual brilliance, comprehensible only to high-minded scholars who hold no score by appearances. My dear colleague, your hasty conclusions are somewhat cavalier.
My assessment is wholly accurate. The boy was a little odd. You must concur if my father, who was rector of the university at the time, had not shown great indulgence towards him. Hans Vorarlberg would have never attended this establishment.
What about the bandstand, then? Is that the work of a deranged mind? Even after all these years, you are still jealous of it.
My dear colleagues, I beseech you, let's show some decorum. We have a visitor. What do you want with Hans Vorarlberg, miss? Are you a member of his family?
No, not at all. I'm looking for him to clear up an inheritance matter. Is he still here?
What? Here? At the university? No, not at all. He left a long time ago. Yes, a very long time ago. The very year I was nominated to this position, in fact. Almost 50 years ago already.
The poor soul moved on once he learned all he needed to know about mammoths.
All he needed to know.
Ah, this establishment was never quite the same after his departure, it must be said.
You mean to say it was never as bad? All that oddball brought to this university was his misplaced fantasies.
Gentlemen, gentlemen, let's try to retain the calm and level-headedness that befits our position.
Wow. I don't even want to click on any more of these because these guys are so long-winded. Hans, train is the next one.
Excuse me.
Miss, we find ourselves terribly put out by the presence of...
Indeed, the situation is very regrettable.
A train should first stop, then
Okay, yeah, birds.
That idea of the station aviary is...
It's the pride of our university. One of the specialties taught here is zoology, you see, and more particularly, ornithology. Proper study and instruction should not be limited to books.
It contains
God,
some
shut
very
up,
rare
people.
specimens that have been brought back from far away, exotic...
Do you remember Alexander Vallum?
Absolutely. His gift produced some very embarrassing...
A poison chalice, indeed. It must be said, the situation could...
Oh, yes, it could have...
Okay. Sorry, I'm trying to get through this because...
You wouldn't know if there is
I'm
any
afraid that there's
Forest
anything important.
Sauvignon here in Barrickstadt, would you?
Absolutely.
When he says
What we mean, of course, is that we are absolutely positive there is no Forest Sauvignon here in Barakstadt.
Really? Are you sure? Because I read in a book that Barakstadt possesses a number of plants. I wouldn't
Out of the question, miss.
The assistant rector means to say that...
Yes, that's right. Your train must leave the station immediately, so please refrain from wasting...
Don't forget the regulations, miss. Don't forget them.
Some sailors have agreed to tow the train, but I don't have enough money to... I could work for the money.
Please wait, miss. We have certain confibulations to attend.
That is right. We must confibulate between ourselves.
Wow, that
A
seems like a personal
collegiate
matter.
decision must be taken.
I hope that we are not indisposing you in any way.
Why not?
If it helps us train.
My word, that is a fine idea.
What do you have in mind, gentlemen?
When you arrived here, you must have noticed...
A unique piece of mechanical craftsmanship.
Why, yes, we have very moving memories of its melodies. We're prepared to offer you a financial reward if...
With pleasure.
Unfortunately, my dear, time and rust have taken their toll on this university, and our automatons no longer have a spring in their step. You are going to have to be resourceful.
To tell you the truth, there are a number of complex mechanisms here in Barakstadt, and it would appear that we...
Your train, however, is an extremely ingenious invention, so you should be no stranger to complex mechanisms, should you?
I hope that I can show myself worthy of your faith.
Well, my dear colleagues, one more...
Okay.
Here we are, busy chatting, and look at the clock.
Already? My...
Thank you for a...
And thank you.
Oh my god. So freaking long-winded. Okay, finally we can start to do something instead of just standing and staring at the freaking, like, crazy three people that have to talk about every single freaking thing. Okay, moving on. Hold on. Alright, out the door, lady. Come on, Kate, we got things to do. Let us go. Down here. Come on. Alright, so we're not going in there. We just used that one thing, so that's to go up the stairs. Let's go out to the other side real quick. And check this side out and see what we can find. Oh, hey, there's somebody to talk to. There's a door and another way to go. So let's talk to him real quick. I'm so tired of talking to people, though.
Excuse me.
Yes.
Sir, please, just a moment.
Like 10 minutes.
Yes, what is it? I'm not deaf, you know.
Well, you weren't responding,
I am
so
sorry to
stop being
disturb
a
you in
dick.
your work, sir, but...
This young Mammothus primigenius is barely 40,000 years old. Fantastic, wouldn't you say, miss?
Yes?
yes. Probably.
You would know better than
What
me.
do you mean, probably?
I'm not a paleontologist.
I don't know.
You
Or
don't know?
whatever,
Well,
mammathologist.
you don't know, I see. What can I do for you, my dear child?
Hi, I'm a lawyer. Just like I think Kate defines herself by the fact that she's a lawyer.
To tell you the truth, I don't know very much about mammoths, and I'm not here as a student.
I'm a lawyer.
In fact, I'm a lawyer.
It's the only thing that I've
It's
done
all
in
right.
my life
Nobody's
that I want to
perfect.
talk
All
about.
the same, the study of the Pleistocene period is fascinating.
I'm sure it is, but I'm sorry to say my current mission is totally monopolizing my
My
time.
current mission.
Another time, maybe.
Ah, that's what they all say. But anyway, let me present myself. I'm Cornelius Ponce, Emeritus Professor and Lecturer at the University of Barakstadt. I'm proud to say that I'm head of the Department of Paleozoology at our
Oh,
university.
excuse me.
Kate Walker. Pleased to meet you.
Nobody shakes here in this town.
It wasn't really my intention to stop off here, but I'll confess,
Ah, indeed. There's such a tradition of learning here. And so much knowledge, a real depth of culture, intelligence, and gray matter. I myself did my studies here and never left.
actually I'm here because I've been summoned by the rectors of the university.
Oh, I see. You must have...
Oh, no. I haven't come here to study. I have an important matter of inheritance to attend to.
And you hope you will find him.
I'm not altogether sure. But you see, my train broke down coming into barracks.
In that case, my dear, you must come to one of my lectures. Here's a question for you. Do you know what the Proboscidean order is?
It's
the
the
Probo-whatian?
the
I
nose.
see. There are gaps
Like the-
in your knowledge that need refreshing.
That's yeah. The Proboscidean order is what the animals that are elephants and mammoths and things like that. Because the nose. Huge TV, so I can sit back and watch this like a movie. So I will be back there in my recliner if you need me. Nice. I don't blame you. The freaking talking, like so much talking in the last like 5 minutes. I'm getting bored. But I'm afraid that if I don't talk, then it won't do certain things, and so we've got to make sure that we talk to everybody about stupid stuff to do. I've already talked. Did I talk about my mission? I don't know.
I
Help.
feel I've lost my way a little here.
Oh, my dear child, you've chosen your moment. I absolutely must finish off.
It's a lecture about...
Oh, yes and no. More specifically, it is about their migration. Do excuse.
To tell you the truth, I'm looking for Mr. Hans Vorarlberg. He's the sole heir of a very unusual factory. My company is in charge of negotiations for the takeover of this factory. At last word, he was living in Syberia. So, as soon as my train is ready, I'll be continuing my journey eastwards.
Syberia. Ah, Syberia. But
Said what?
you mentioned a name.
Vorarlberg. Hans
Vorarlberg. How could I forget him? Such an extraordinary fellow. So inventive. We shared a passion for mammoths, you know, and we bonded over this passion. Without it, I confess, I would have had little to do with an odd, ageless retard like Hans. At the time, we were both students. Well, sort of. Put it this way. Hans had special permission to attend paleontology lectures. You see, he didn't really have the necessary qualifications. In exchange, Hans did a few odd jobs around the university.
Your Hans Vorarlberg sounds uncannily like the one I'm looking for.
It's true.
I'm not sure, my dear. Hans was above all questions of money and business. Just to imagine him running a factory, perish the thought.
Well,
Can you tell me a little bit more about...
He was always a mystery to me. He never said very much, and never quite seemed to grasp what you said to him. He expressed himself instead through his incredible mechanical contraptions. His inventions, I admit, have been much appreciated by the university. The few times we really did talk, it was about his strange interest for mammoths and a doll.
A doll?
Yes, he kept talking about it. One day he described it to me. A sort of children's toy. A miniature mammoth mounted by a mount. It appears he found it in a cave not far from his home. The event all sounds very dramatic. His account was slightly confused, but it awoke a great interest in me.
What do you mean?
To my knowledge, there was only one tribe who made figurines featuring a mouth, and that tribe is the Yukols. They live in the farthest reaches of Syberia, and for them, the dolls constituted a sacred object, illustrating one of their central legends. How such a doll made the journey from the frozen Siberian north to a cave in the French Alps is a mystery to me. Even today, it is beyond my comprehension.
Have you considered that Hans Vorarlberg was maybe making it up? You said yourself he didn't seem to have all his mental facilities
yet
intact.
we have the doll and know
No,
what he's
that's
talking
impossible. Hans couldn't invent a story like that. The doll is a sacred part of the Syberia legend. He described it to me in exact detail. Syberia itself
Because he couldn't
is
have
a
possibly
chimera
run
that
it in something else.
paleontologists of the world are very fond of pursuing.
Okay, train.
Arriving in Barrackstadt is an amazing experience.
You came by...
Yes, in a kind of clockwork train.
You mean you drive a train? Young ladies of today never cease to amaze
Wow,
me.
sexism.
Oh, no.
Number
I'm not the
million
engineer.
in this game.
The train's engineer is actually an automaton. I am sorry, all this probably sounds...
A clockwork train, driven by an automaton. I once knew a man long ago who could have invented such a train. It was he who designed the bandstand in the main square. To think that he was even capable of creating such a gadget. He was astounding, a true genius. But oddly, at the same...
Yes.
Yes. I think I can believe that. My train stopped in a peculiar aviary.
Ornithology is far from being my favorite subject, but I must